yeah. Hello, Tashidele, everyone. I hope all of you are keeping well. And welcome back to the Lojong teaching. Okay, so before we start the session, feel the presence of all the lineage gurus, all the way up to Guru Shakyamuni Buddha and the Buddha and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. And all the immediate lineage gurus, such as His Holiness Dalai Lama, Gyaltsab Subrahmanyam, Geshe Zopa, and all the way up to Lama Tsongkhapa, Geshe Zopa, Adisha, and of course, the text that we're going to study today, very much compiled by Shunu Gyaltsok. And if individual not familiar with the faces of these lineage gurus and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, so simply visualize in the aspect of your root guru or any of the spiritual teacher to whom that you feel close with your spiritual practice. Visualize in that aspect, but in the nature of all the other lineage gurus and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Right in their present, then just like them, how they have perfected their training on the path and actualize the ultimate benefit of their enlightenment, as well as equipping all the tools of benefit to the rest of the sentient beings. Just like them, started with generating the aspirational altruism, bodhicitta motivation towards their life, towards their practices. Similar way, here we as a disciple follow the footsteps of our lineage gurus and all the past Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Simply express from the depth of one's heart that I too follow the footsteps of my lineage gurus by generating the altruistic motivation for the rest of my life, rest of my existence, the rest of my life, and in particularly this very session to be complete cause for the numberless sentient beings, enlightenment, to able to bring immense of purification from attending Dharma discourse and accumulate immense of merit and wisdom, by attending the Dharma discourse through the lineage blessings. So keeping that in heart, so we recite refuge and bodhicitta prayer for immeasurable thoughts. Then salutation to Guru Shakyamuni Buddha and our lineage gurus, like that. Sanje Jadang Zoje Jonala Janju Badu Dani Jasoje Daji Jinsoje Be Sonamje Dola Benje Sanje Dobarai Jo Sanje Jadang Zoje Jonala Janju Badu Dani Jasoje Daji Jinsoje Be Sonamje Dola Benje Sanje Dobarai Jo Sanje Jadang Zoje Jonala Janju Badu Dani Jasoje Daji Jinsoje Be Sonamje Dola Benje Sanje Dubarai Jo Semje Damje Dewadan Deve Judan Dembra Juji Semje Damje Dunga Dan Dunga Judan Dawa Juji Semje Damje Dunga Mebe Dewadan Midawa Juji Semje Damje Nyeri Jadan Nidan Davi Danyola Nebra Juru Je Semje Damje Dewadan Deve Judan Dembra Juji Semje Damje Dunga Dan Dunga Judan Dawa Juji Zemje damje donga mebe dewa dam me dawa jeje zemje damje nire jada nye danda danyo la ne barai juro je kange doje ne zone dawa damje pambe jere dambe jene denze ma godam de la cha ze lo tonyi nye je sondo jube lam zeje zenje kanje dende chana pe mo tenze jazo so wa dev so da yu jin ye lo. Okay, so we are starting with the new text again. So we are, of course, still using the great collections of Lojong classical texts, and we are on the chapter 24. The title of the text is Mahayana Mind Training, Eliminating Future Adversities. So this teaching very much composed or compiled by Shunu Gyalcho, who is the main lineage guru that who put all these different teachings together. And so if you are using the same volumes of text, then we are on the page 241. So this teaching, again, is really very straightforward and extremely essential, extremely important to be learned and practiced. And this teaching highlights a very important part in the journey of our cycle of life, where there's the the most danger and critical time that we may miss, or we may slip away from the right path, away from the virtue, away from keeping coolness in the Dharma or in the virtue, or establishing firm, definite of the virtuous continuum or rebirth, etc. So therefore, this particular teaching, if we keep in our mindfulness and make it habitual, from very now. So when those critical times that we are able to utilize the Dharma to overcome obstacles for our continuum of peace and happiness, virtue, including liberation and enlightenment, so like that. Okay, so so from the text it says Mahayana training of mind, eliminating future adversities, has three parts. First one, the preliminary, and the second, the actual practice, and the third, the purpose of mind training. So this very much teaching will divide into these three sections. So today we will focus on the preliminary, then the next session will focus on the actual practice, then the last session for this round of the Lojong teaching, then we'll focus on the final part or the purpose of the Lojong teaching in relation to this text. So the preliminary, the first one, it says, there are 4 occasions when mind training is likely to be forgotten. There are 4 occasions. First one is during the recognizing moments of death. So during the during the disturbing moments of death. Mhm. The second one is during the intermediate state. Third one is in the mother's womb. And the fourth one is in next life. Mhm. Then there are 4 occasions when mind training is likely to be lost. Mhm. So first part is likely to be forgotten from our mindfulness. Um, the second one is likely to be lost. Mhm. Uh, from application. So the first one, when suffering severe harms caused by humans. So this is one occasion that mind training likely to be lost. Then second one, when suffering severe harms caused by non-humans. Mm. Then third one is when suffering a grave illness caused by elements. Then the fourth one is when a strong affliction arises. Mm. Yeah. So just a brief highlighting of certain points. Um, the 4 occasion when mind training likely to be lost, likely to be forgotten. Um, so during the agonizing moment of death. So during the agonizing moment is to be understood the very much of the death process, the dissolutions of the 4 elements, then um, the experience of 80 conceptual thoughts, the dissolution of 80 conceptual thoughts, then uh, near white appearance, near red appearance, white appearance, red appearance, and the dark or the black appearance. Then the the actual experience of the clear light. So the purpose of practicing Dharma is for us to antidote from all those distractions and able to utilize death on the path. Mm. The clear light, able to take clear light on the path. Uh, those who have not never realized emptiness before, even conceptually, then during the experience of the clear light, take opportunity to realize that because of there's a natural experience of emptiness, and through the lifetime training, learning about the definite meaning of emptiness, and habituating our mind through contemplation and meditation. From there, uh, get trained of our subconscious mind, the meditative mind, so that way when the natural clear light or natural emptiness occur in our continuum during the clear light experience, the practitioner able to utilize the meditative subtle mind to remember the training, to able to label to the right base, mm, uh, um, the voidness of uh, all the conceptualities, voidness of all the negations of the elements, then all the other gross conceptual minds, including of the black, was a white, red, and black appearance, and that very luminous void nature of the mind, one can able to rightly recognize and label to your apprehension as a void of inherent existence. The empty as an empty of emptiness of empty of all those earlier mentioned agonizing moments or agonizing phenomena of the death, you see. Then those of individual practitioner who have already realized a conceptual realization of emptiness, but not a direct realization, non-conceptual direct realizations of emptiness, then they are again can able to rightly designate the right label to the right basis, able to very much, the reuniting very much the mother and the son, reuniting, Mabuteba, very much like reuniting, very much re-meeting of the long lost, mother and the son, or re-meeting of the earlier, uh, you know, uh, the son that which is come out of the mother's existence or mother's form. Then throughout the life, very much live a life separately, and even apprehending as there's a complete separate, uh, even by the children, like how their physical aggregates is regarded as a mind body, even though it's part of our mother's body, part of our parents' body. So so then later, uniting to is very much like kind of so emerging as very much in the sense of attitude, in the sense of understanding of, very much like oneness, that child that was born from mother now, reunite or be, in oneness, in affection. So similar like that. So whatever training on emptiness throughout the life, uh, mm, uh, like the sun, and then at the actual experience of the origin of existence, or the definite nature of existence, which is uh, the the absolute clear light of our continuum, which is the emptiness of our continuum. Uh, recon, you know, what you call, realizing that is our absolute being, and that is our absolute existence, absolute nature. So that is very much called like the mother and the son meeting, like that. So then you realize emptiness directly. And those of the practitioner who have already realized emptiness directly, then um, those who are already on the stages of the 10 bhumi, it could be on the first bhumi, second bhumi, third bhumi, even it could be in the 10 bhumis. Then whatever level of later bhumis, including of the part of normal learning, have not achieved before in the lifetime, then during the clear light experience, you're able to, your meditative, subconscious mind able to recognize which level of bhumi you are in, and uh, uh, using the natural experience of the clear light as a tool of a very effective antidote, or the wisdom um, to assist the practitioner to strengthen the antidote on the path, then negate the whatever amount of the negation that needed to be negated. Then in that period, by negating that negation, then you upgrade your ground to the second level. And those who are on the 10 bhumi, then you negate the most subtle defilement to omniscience uh, with that intense wisdom um, that you experience at the time of clear light. Then that meditative equipoise able to effectively bring the absolute cessations or path of normal learning, actualizing the wisdom of Dharmakaya. So you see, so so if we don't forget the Lojong, the essence of Lojong is uh, the altruistic method and altruistic wisdom. The ultimate the Lojong is the altruistic wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness. You see, so if you don't forget that during the agonizing moment, during the disturbing, experiences of the death process during the death time, then the practitioner will be greatly benefited. All the different level of benefit according with your own stages of the path wherever you are, as I explained before, will be actualized. You see, accordingly. You see, so so therefore we need to find the correct antidote or right training to make sure that that Lojong training or the training in the altruistic attitude and altruistic wisdom or bodhicitta emptiness, during the one of the most what do you call critical time, or one of the most danger period, mm, you see, among the four danger period, one of the most danger period is the moment of during the process of death. So so right now we learn this, we knew this now. Now we know exactly this teaching. So then, so that day to day in our life, we make aspirations from our heart to make sure that uh, that you yourself not to forget Lojong, not to forget bodhicitta and emptiness, during the process of death. You see, so you make supplication in relation to Guru Yoga practice, supplication in relation to Deity Yoga practice, or whatever practice that you do, whenever you accumulate any amount of merit, whenever you dedicate for making sure that when the death comes in my way, when the death process is occurring in my way, then may I never to be forgotten the Lojong training. So like that, you see. So then the second one is during the intermediate state. So during the intermediate state, the danger of forgetting Lojong training. First of all, if you don't have a strong imprint that left in the lifetime, then one won't able to sustain the remembering of the Lojong at the time of death. If we can't remember at the time of death, then at the intermediate state is almost not possible to remember the Dharma or the Lojong teaching. It's not possible. You see, so because there's a cause and effect like this. There should be a right condition to make sure that right time, in the right time we remember the Lojong teaching or remember bodhicitta emptiness. You see, so in order for us to remember the Dharma at the time of intermediate state, the right condition is right at the time of death we have to remember Dharma or the Lojong teaching. In order to remember Dharma and Lojong teaching at the time of death, we have to remember Dharma or Lojong teaching while we are experiencing, before the death, while we are experiencing the death process. We have to remember. So in order for us to remember the Dharma at the time of clear light, then we need to make sure that we have the capability to remember the Dharma during the near black appearance. In order to do that, we have to make sure that we have the capability to remember during the red appearance. In order to do that, we need to make sure that remember the Dharma at the time of white appearance. Then make sure that we remember that during the 80 different conceptual transitions and degenerations in our consciousness, we have to make sure we remember throughout those disturbing emotional dissolutions. In order to do that, we have to make sure we remember the Dharma or Lojong teaching uh, at the time that the wind element is dissolved, where uh, normal breathing, clinically death, but then spiritually not dead yet. The consciousness is not yet departed from one's continuum, from one's indestructible drop. So there we have to make sure, meaning that once clinically pronounced death right there, we have to die, while remembering the Dharma or the Lojong teaching, or bodhicitta emptiness, like that. You see. So in order to do that, then um, uh, the before dissolution of the uh, uh, fire, then before that the water, and before that the earth, so all the different four elements, uh, uh, each um, uh, um, mm, each time that we experience, like such as the dissolvation of the earth element, um, which is the disturbing event to the person, to the practitioner. So while happening the dissolution of the earth element, uh, there, we have to make sure that we don't forget the Dharma, we don't forget bodhicitta emptiness, we don't forget the Lojong teaching, like that. You see. So an example, when there's a earth dissolution, earth element dissolution happens, you see, is uh, very much, can use of your eye, open eye and see, text, or see holy images, or very much all the six organs, the eye organs, ear organs, feeling organs, very much will be degenerated. You see. So that meaning, uh, by that time, it's very hard for someone, by reciting some prayer, the person able to hear and get reminded of Dharma. It's difficult. You see, it's very difficult, that period. Just showing, even though the eye cannot open, but then we put, our finger like that, put the eye open, and try to show Buddha's images to remind the dying person to remember Dharma. Very difficult, because the organs are very much is the earth element, and is already dissolving, weaker and weaker. And by the time that it dissolved into the water element, by then is, all the organs are already, the senses organs are very much unfunctionable. You see. So meaning that, uh, when we have this, trouble of remembering things, trouble of, seeing things properly, and we roughly know that we are, our senses are losing, you know by then also, we need to have a very sharp mind, sharp memory or mindfulness, to remember bodhicitta emptiness, remember the Dharma, remember the Lojong. You see. So in order for us to have that kind of capability, then when we have an intake of these six organs, when our senses are intact, then we need to keep, repeatedly have to remind, Dharma, Lojong teaching, bodhicitta emptiness. You see. And just reminding by reading is not good enough. Reminding by just listening is not good enough. We need to do a absorption meditation. So in order to bring all the capability mentioned before during the dissolution, by then only the subtle level of our mind is useful. Our gross senses are no more use. So in order the subtle senses to be useful, that has to be trained. So how to train is only through meditation. So the best method to very immediate or the direct training is absorption meditation. So now, in order to do the absorption meditation, first we need to have a qualified to do analytical meditation. So in order for us to do the analytical meditation, first you need to have the
the correct wisdom of analytical wisdom. You see, in order to do analytical meditation from the two type of meditation, analytical meditation and absorption meditation, in order to do any of these two meditation, you need to have a meditation object, isn't it? So what is the meditation object? The meditation object is the wisdom that you gain from analytical observation to the learning of the Dharma. So, but then in order to gain the analytical wisdom, first you need to have a object to be analyzed, isn't it? Object to be investigated, isn't it? And that object has to be the wisdom of learning. You see, wisdom of learning of Dharma, wisdom of learning of Lojong, wisdom of learning of bodhicitta on emptiness, etc., like that. So now, so therefore, uh, in order to have the object to be analyzed by analytical practice, you need to have the wisdom of learning. You see, so in order to have the wisdom of learning, we need to study the Dharma. So when we study the Dharma, we need to use logic, we use reasoning, use the textual quotations. We need to listen to the teaching, we need to read the teaching, we need to we need to read not only one text, but we need to read many different texts to get more ideas, more information, more valid teachings for us to really to convince. And not only that, on top of that, we need to receive the transmission and blessing that not only know the wisdom, but that wisdom carry uh, the the stream of blessing, which will transmit, all the way up to our clear light, and all the way on the stages, on the process of the path, all the way up to enlightenment, like that. You see, so it's so you see, so therefore, if we don't have all these stages of practice, then it's so difficult for us to remember Lojong or Dharma during the intermediate state. By the external help is a very limited impact. You see, so one individual self need to work. You see, if external help can able to liberate us at the time of death, at the time of intermediate state, then you know there are numberless Buddhas out there, isn't it? Shakyamuni Buddhas out there, Cheresis out there, Manjushiris out there, Tharas out there. They're always out there. So we don't have to practice at all. We don't have to learn the Dharma at all. You see, so they will take care of us because their compassion is equal to everybody, and their ambition is to benefit us to liberate, isn't it? And so whenever someone is dying, then Tara intervene to, take care of you, and you get liberated. You don't have to do anything. And if that didn't happen, then can do at the intermediate state, isn't it? But so that's it doesn't work that way. The Buddhas, the gurus, external factors are only a minor condition. Even how powerful the Buddha and gurus out there, they can benefit us, liberate us only by providing the teaching. That's all, nothing more than that. You see, so sometimes we talk about power practice, transparent consciousness. If if things are so easy, just by doing pova and your consciousness is transferred up to pure land without yourself needed to do any virtue and any purification, then you just train bunch of lamas and monks to do pova, and rest of the people don't have to practice at all, and then our life becomes so easy. No need to study complicated teachings, and no need to do so many tough practices, isn't it? So that's not the way. That's very much like minor conditional support, and most of them is very much to comfort your heart. So if you really talking about actualizing cessations from karma, cessations from delusion, cessations from samsara, actualizing liberation and enlightenment, yourself, individual self, has to have the capability. You see, so like that. Hmm. Then on top of that, during the intermediate state, during our lifetime, we experience one-time death, isn't it? uh, we have to go through the death process one time. But during the intermediate state, if someone is living the full period of 49 days, then there's experience of 7 times of, experience of the entire death process. So each time you experience the death process, uh, it is a huge obstacle. In one way, is a huge obstacle to distract, our calmness and concentration to any of the dharma or the practices. In another way, each time when we experience death, it's given the opportunity to experience of clear light, and that time, we can again actualize all the benefit as mentioned before, including enlightenment. You see. Now, the third one is in the mother's womb. So, in the mother's womb, you see, all the earlier mentioned trainings, if we don't have, then it's very hard. When we take a new basis for rebirth, if you don't have a strong imprint from the past, it's not possible for this new, baby to have all those impact of the past practice, isn't it? And the conditional circumstances, when the baby is in the womb, in the teaching describe about, absolute, uh, you know, uh, congested and dark and very filthy, kind of environment, you see, including of the smell, and your eyes are, closed, is completely in the darkness, then it's a very limited space that you are completely squashed in, so that kind of experience. And because of such environment, very difficult to remember, in clarity of those virtues, very hard, you see. Then, yeah. So then, so because of that, is a very, very possibility of forgetting the Dharma, or forgetting, the mind training. Then in the next life, so then when you are designated as a, your new life, which very much conventionally, when the baby come out from the mother's womb, when you reborn, then again all the previous mentioned trainings is not there. It's very difficult for in that new life that you have a fresh memory of all the Dharma that you have practiced in the past, you learned in the past, unless you have a really well practiced, well, uh, established imprint. You see, it's most likely that, one will be completely forgotten of all the practices from before. Then on top of that, the immediate circumstances during the new life, in the first moment of new life, when you come out from mother's womb, uh, if you are natural born or natural born, then is regarded is, the suffering that you go through is very much like squeezed between two Mount Merus, you see. Then you are kind of like a squeeze out like that. There's no question about, how mother has to suffer when the birth, when the labor happened. But for the baby, there's a tremendous suffering that go through. Because of that suffering, most of our virtuous memory from the past will be forgotten, because of this intense suffering during the birth the baby have to go through, you see. Then on top of that, then not only that, nowadays, there's other way of birth called cesarean. The cesarean birth, we believe, conventionally we believe it will be less pain to the baby, um, uh, but because of the karmic rebirth is a womb birth, whichever way you are born, cesarean way or the natural way, both very much equally, the tremendous suffering that have to go through because of from a very soft environment, uh, you know, kind of protected environment that you are come out and exposed to the wind, heat, the cold, then roughness. You see coming out from the stomach, in the water bag. Then when you first time touch to any cloth, even though conventionally we may use the softest cloth, but for that first time experience of the external external um, physical phenomena is for them is kind of like a thorn. Thorn. This very fragile body, very much kind of like wrapped by a thorn, clothed with a lot of thorn like that. So that kind of experiences, you see. So conventionally we don't see that, but in reality, in the Dharma described like that. In reality, when we logically think about it, you know, it is really possible like that kind of experience. You see, so because of that, so in short, there are tremendous suffering. When the birth happens. So therefore, when we dedicate our merits, not only we dedicate the merit to be free from death and intermediate state, but also free from the suffering of birth. So that's that the suffering of birth, can be so intense until that all our past memory will be forgotten, and that's quite relevant, in our day-to-day ordinary life. Even those reincarnated masters, their consciousness could be enlightened or could be, could be achieve higher path, but when they come to um, uh, take a new life with a human way of birth, very much, all the reincarnated lamas, they have to go through fresh training from very beginning, including teachings of the alphabet and prayers, etc. You know, um, there's no one like even Shakyamuni Buddha and all the great masters that to whom we know. Some are uh, the reincarnation, many lifetimes of reincarnation. Some are rebirth of enlightened Buddhas. But when they are born as a human being, like a human being, which come out from mother's womb, you know, there's no one that instant, carrying freshly all the past memories of their trainings, isn't it? You see, so therefore, that is very much the circumstances that had to go through during the birth. That makes the individual to very much forgotten. Many of the practices. So you need to have a very intense imprint. Intense training. You see, to remember. You see, like that. So so these are the 4 occasions that most likely we may forget Lojong practice or Dharma practice. You see, and these are the 4 occasions. In fact, is a very very powerful opportunity for us to take great meaning of our continuum. Including of actualizing enlightenment. So the so therefore that we shouldn't forget. We have to find every single means to make sure that we remember the teaching. You see. Mhm. Yeah, so such as the there's if we remember the teaching, then we can take death onto the path of Dharmakaya, then intermediate state, on the path of Sambhogakaya, and then uh, the birth as a part of the Nirmana Kaya. You see, so such great opportunities if we remember the Dharma, during that time like that. Now, the 4 other occasions that most likely that we may lose the Lojong, one is when we experience a severe harm caused by human. So you see, so how much if we don't have an intense, well training and well equipped of mindfulness in the Lojong practice, bodhicitta emptiness practice, then when someone cause harm to you, then you lose your coolness. The moment you express anger, you lose your Lojong. You see, so when someone harm you, then you retaliate back. Then that's the time. That's the sign of you lost Lojong. You see, so as a Dharma practitioner and a Lojong practitioner, whenever we receive harm, that we need to instead of retaliating, we have to know how to take those harm onto the path and able to reply back with so much compassion and so much so much to as a condition to develop your heart like that. Then when we receive a severe harm by non-humans, you see, such as when we receive harm from spirits, uh, you know uh, yeah, so then very much like those, so many different type of um, the predator spirits, non-human uh, harm givers. So uh, whenever we receive harm, very much that we may instead of generating compassion to them, we may lose our practice and we may get upset. We may perform some kind of um, retaliation, So even sometimes when we get spirit harm, sometimes when we perform the antidotes, the practices of pujas, and some of the pujas is to really to kind of to chase them away with so much aggressiveness, So if such thing happen in the for true Dharma practitioner, for Lojong practitioner, then we very much lose our essence of the Lojong practice, you see. So we have studied in the last class that for Lojong practitioner, when obstacle comes somewhere, harm, human or non-human harms comes in our way, we 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 regard them as a charm, as a fortune, and then from there we take them onto the path, instead of being upset and retaliating them, isn't it? Like that. So then the third one is the suffering grave illness caused by elements. So when we go through huge natural disaster, harm by nature like fire, water, etc., the earth, etc., then we very much our emotion get very much disturbed, you see. Of course physically there are a lot of inconvenience, but the true Lojong practitioner, for them, their emotion never get disturbed, so rather they take that as an opportunity to enhance their practice in the Dharma like that. Then strong affliction arises, you see. So when a strong anger arises, we may completely lose our mind. A strong attachment, grasping arises, we may lose our practice, practice of bodhicitta emptiness, and practice of all the antidotes, practice of detachment, etc. So you see, so as a Lojong practitioner, as someone that, whenever the affliction arises, then we need to know, how to take the afflictions onto the path, so there are many teachings, taking attachment onto the path, taking anger onto the path, taking ignorance onto the path, taking, all the 5, root delusions onto the path, you see. In Tantra, you see, taking all the 5 delusions, taking onto the path until that transform into 5 wisdom, and that 5 wisdom, able to illustrate into 5 dhyani Buddhas. There are such practices like that. But in the sutra, at least, whenever whenever this delusion arises, then, not get overwhelmed by the delusion. Rather, you're able to remember it is antidote. Uh, um, like for anger, like patience; for attachment, like detachment, etc. Like that. You see. So. So we have to train so intense that until that, during all these different 4 occasions, that which most likely may lose Lojong, to not to get lost. Rather, we stay intact with our Dharma practices. So like that. So these are very, very important, straightforward points to keep in our mind, and day to day, we train ourselves gradually to make sure that our practice are always stay intact, you see. So now, in the teaching here, the following the teachings are the antidotes. The antidote towards the earlier 8 different kind of the danger zones to overcome. So I read. The antidote to this is as follows. Having made offering to the teacher and the 3 jewels, make the following prayers of aspiration. So you see, so we need to make this aspiration. Bless me so that undistorted realizations of the Mahayana mind training arise in me. Bless me so that I do not forget it, mind training, during the 4 occasions when it is likely to be forgotten, and I do not lose it when it is likely to be lost. So this is aspirational prayers that we should always, make to really to get blessed our continuum, in particular in relation to Guru Yoga practices. Whenever we think of our gurus, whenever we do daily yoga practices, um, you know, um, whenever we dedicate our merits, this should be one of very important aspirational prayers and dedication. So this way, mm, mm, uh, we will have a correct conditional environment during those difficult times, for us to get reminded of our practice, the Dharma or the Lojong accordingly. Next, offer Thorma to the Dharma protector, and as before, make expiration prayers like this. Having accumulated the merit, such as by making Thorma offering to the Dharma protectors, may Mahayana mind training arise in me. May it not be forgotten when this is likely to occur. And may it not be wasted during the 4 occasions when this is likely. So this is a Dharma offering practice. So throughout many different um, teachings of the Lojong, even in Lamrim, then no question about in tantric ritual practices, or including of the tantric sadhana practices. There are various Dharma offering, ritual cake offering, Dharma offering practices. So even the common pujas that we conduct, like such as Tara Puja, Medicine Buddha Puja, Guru Puja, all consist of the Dharma offering practice there. Then of course the specific protector pujas, all consists of Dharma offering practices. You see, so these are not a lightly practice, not a simple practice. These are very profound practice. It's not just kind of traditional kind of custom. It is a really a part of the Dharma practice that which will help practitioner to gather conducive conditions to, especially remember Dharma whenever the Dharma is needed. Especially in this, 4 different kind of, 8 different kind of occasions, critical occasions. So the Dharma protectors, through the practice of Dharma offering, they are like the attendant, the assistant to all the Buddhas and the deities to help Dharma practitioners during the critical time, isn't it? So during our lifetime, when we practice, these pujas and Dharma offering practices, there's a great meaning in that. You see. So in any way, so whenever we do Dharma practices, then make the aspiration as I read before. Which is very important. And sometimes we may make all other aspirational prayers and dedications, but we may forget the essential, the most important aspirational prayer, which is to making prayer for us to remember the Dharma, remember bodhicitta, remember emptiness, during those difficult 8 different occasions. You see. So I mean, all of us, most of us, we do Tara Puja, Medicine Buddha Puja, Guru Puja, Pratita Puja, isn't it? And we make all sort of aspirational prayers, isn't it? Mundane spiritual prayers. But honestly speaking, we sometimes, forget to make all these prayers, and in all other prayers, sometimes we miss out specific, these necessary aspirational prayers, to protect us, condition us, bless us, and may the merit be the cause for us to remember bodhicitta and emptiness, during those, 8 different occasions. We don't remember, isn't it? We don't do that, isn't it? So now we know. So this, if we don't recite verbally, if we are doing puja with a group in the centers, if we don't, recite this word, verbally, but at least individually, in our heart, we should include, this dedication like that. Okay, then I continue read. Make these aspirational prayers and repeat the same in relation to the collective merit of the sentient being. So, not only our own merit by making Dharma offering and our past, present, future merits, but also the merit collected by all the sentient beings. Uh, and not only dedicate to yourself, but also dedicate to rest of the sentient beings too, during this 8 different occasions, for them to remember the antidote of the Dharma and liberated them, from all the suffering continuums like that. Then after that, the 4 decisions pertaining to the practice of Mahayana mind training, the master said as follows: 4 decisions. So again, these 4 decisions, as a true practitioner, in particularly here, the Lojong practitioner, bodhicitta practitioner, altruistic wisdom practitioner, these 4 decisions are is essence to have in our heart whenever we practice. Otherwise, again, our practice will be scattered everywhere, and not specified. Our merits are not really properly dedicated or consolidated. So then it's not, the practice or the merit cannot be solid. You see. So these 4 type of decisions is like a pit instruction of, very much the Lojong, the Kadamba practitioners, you see. So the first one is all paths are traversed by one. All aspirations are concentrated into one. All conceptions are labeled out. All conceptions are labeled out. Then the fourth one is the remedy are instantly applied to vanquish the opposing forces. So now here, the meaning is stated in the text is all paths are traversed by one. All paths should, pass through, one practice. So the meaning is, for there are no enumeration of levels and path in mind training practice. You see, so when we consolidate our Dharma practice in Lojong, then we don't have to worry very much. We don't have to worry about so many yanas, so many levels, so many bhumis, so many different type of paths, like such 5 paths, 10 bhumis, so many different philosophical views. Everything has to be crossed through one path, and that is the altruistic wisdom, the wisdom of emptiness that infused by bodhicitta, or the wisdom of negating the substantial existence that infused by altruism. So that is one path, or in short, is wisdom of emptiness. You see, so everything, all the levels of the path should cross or consolidate into one. Onto the wisdom of emptiness. You see, or in another way of understanding this, all paths are traversed by one, meaning all the 84,000 teachings, or all the 5 paths, all the 10 bhumis, all the 3 principal aspects of the path, all the lamrims, etc. Some of those teachings are preparatory, practice and teachings to realize, to actualize wisdom of emptiness. Then some of those teachings and practices are the result of the cultivation of wisdom of altruistic wisdom of emptiness. So that's also another way of understanding what means by all paths traversed by one. So the other meaning, as I mentioned before, as a Lojong practitioner, there's no need to worry about categorizing this and that path. Everything conclude the one path in the altruistic wisdom. So I continue reading. One undermines self-grasping as fully as one can. Then whatever practice that you do, all has to be targeted to eradicate the self-grasping, eradicate the root of all the faults, root of all the defilements, the self-grasping, ignore it. So from the 84,000 teaching, or from all entire Lamrim or whatever, so whatever level of path that you practice, it has to be directed as a certain path as a preliminary to condition to eradicate the self-grasping. Certain path, as a direct antidote to eradicate the self-grasping. You see, the certain path are the result, and to be understood as a result of eliminating the self-grasping. So this is what it means by all paths are troubled by one, or all paths, should be one undermine self-grasping as fully as one can. So during the training, we have to practice in our very best in that manner. Everything is all about eradicating the root cause of all the limitations, self-grasping, ignorant. Then I continue reading. If you annihilate it today, you attain Buddhahood today. So if you eradicate the self-grasping, ignorant today, so that way, so whatever I explained before, if we practice that way, then if you're able to eradicate ignorant today, then you attain Buddhahood today. And if you annihilate it is tomorrow, you attain Buddhahood tomorrow. If you eradicate the self-grasping, ignorant tomorrow, Buddhahood will be attained tomorrow. Then if you eradicate, if it remain undestroyed, the self-grasping, then there's no Buddhahood. So if we may practice numerous practices, we may follow numerous paths, but the path didn't become, condition or the antidote to annihilate or eradicate the self-grasping ignorant, then there's no Buddhahood in that individual. The Buddhahood is not possible. One will never achieve Buddhahood, if you keep distracted of your path, from the focusing of eradicating self-grasping ignorant. You see, so so even if you just practice bodhicitta, but you don't practice, wisdom, the altruistic wisdom, then you will never achieve, the Buddhahood. You see, so therefore, even you practice bodhicitta, it has to be as a condition to practice altruistic wisdom of emptiness. That way only one will able to obtain the absolute liberation of Buddhahood. You see, like that. Then, and when you annihilate it, at that instant you become fully enlightened. It has been taught. You see, so all the past Buddhas, great Indian Pandits, the Tibetan great scholars, Kadama masters, everyone in the one voice have taught like this. If you eradicate the self-grasping ignorant, then you will enlighten fully. If you don't, then you will not. So this is the statement that you see, the overall statement that, this you will see in all teachings like this. So that has to be kept in our heart. So you see, so like that. So when in an example, when we do any form of puja, the ultimate purpose of the puja is to eradicate the self-grasping ignorant. Then the puja become a condition, like Thara Buddha, medicine Buddha puja, everything become a condition for our enlightenment, you see, for our liberation from problems, all the problems, you see, like that. But if we dedicate Thara puja just for the success of business, do the medicine Buddha puja just for the good health, then it's so minimal purpose, you see. So in that way, we will never achieve, ultimate success. We will never achieve ultimate, immortality of our health, you see. So therefore, we have to know exactly how to practice, this way, you see. Otherwise, such a profound practice of Thara puja, medicine Buddha puja, Prajna puja, everything become very, very, you see, very, you see, not in-depth puja, in-depth practice, you see. If we know, if our target is to eliminate self-grasping ignorance, then all this pujas is a very powerful meditation practice, very powerful Lojong practice, you see, very powerful Dharma practice, you see, not just a ritual like that, you see. So even when we make Thoma for the rituals, Thoma offering, etc., or even when, whatever practice, sutra or tantra we do, even reading Dharma books, everything should be for that purpose, you see, like that. Then the second, the decision is all aspirations are concentrated into one. So meaning for whatever activity that you might engage in, be it working toward a specific destination, strolling, sleeping, or sitting, uh, hmm, you have no purpose other than to undermine self-grasping to the best of your ability and to help sentient being as much as you can. Uh, hmm. Few other aspirations need to be pursued, it has been taught, you see. So mm, mm, all sort of moving activities, then including when we go to bed, sleeping, then engaging, let's say, or then sitting, etc. We call Drecha Nyaltuk. So basically, all our 24 hours activities are very much, uh, you know, conclude within these three kind of ways. So meaning, whatever we do through our body, speech, and mind in 24 hours, we need to have a purpose to make our life purposeful, day purposeful, moment purposeful. What we do is purposeful. And that become purposeful if we have a motivation is all dedicated to undermine the self-grasping, eradicate the self-grasping uh, in your best ability. And on the basis of that, then expressing our altruism, like love, compassion, kindness, etc. You see, so that way, then our moments, our activities, our life become meaningful, purposeful. You see, Mm. So this is what it means. All aspirations are concentrated into one. Means all our motivation of all our activities should be motivated in one to eliminate self-grasping, and in your very best way, be in the service of sentient being. You see, so that should be the way. Then the latter part is a few other aspirations needed to be pursued. It has been taught again. Uh, so this is like similar like the earlier one. Mm. Uh, Yeah. So, like, at the end of our virtuous activities, whatever merit that we accumulate by ourselves, then all the merits of all the other sentient beings, also to be conditioned to myself and all the sentient beings to overcome the self-grasping. Then, then be in the service of actualizing, including of the stereo enlightenment. So like that. So now, the third decision is all conceptions are labeled out. So the meaning, some assert that all conceptions are to be eliminated. However, it is not necessary to eliminate them. Instead, conceptions are taken onto the path, for they are very staff of the Dharmakaya. As for affliction, since they grow to us, so all conceptions are leveled out, very much meaning that in our general practice, the conceptuals are the very much hallucination, and we need to eliminate them. We need to eliminate them. But as far as concerned with the practitioner of Lojong, that we don't need to worry about specifically eliminating them. Rather, we should um, we should take them onto the path. because they are, when you train to actualize the absolute essence or the nature of those conception, then we will able to discover the illusion-alike the nature of the conception. You see, our conceptual. When we analyze, instead of keep negating or avoiding conceptual minds, conceptual ideas, rather as a Lojong practitioner, whenever there's a thought arises, conceptual mind arises, then use that conceptual thought or idea as an object to examine its nature. So when you examine its nature of all the thoughts and all the concepts, you will come to a destination of finding it is essenceless. It is absolute nature is lacking of intrinsic nature, inherent nature. Then you find in that conception the absolute Dharmakaya. So therefore, for Lojong practitioner, in fact, the conceptual, including of the delusions, you see, is not something that you see you kind of block. There's such a practice out there, but for Lojong intense practitioner, you don't have to have a guard to block them. Whenever those delusion arises, those conceptual thoughts arises, you immediately, the Lojong way, you immediately analyze their nature, analyze their identity, So by doing so, every conceptual, every thought become an opportunity for you to intensify your knowing of the absolute nature of the reality, nature of the phenomena. In other words, every thought that arises, every concept that you arises, become a platform for you to train your wisdom to realize the ultimate truth, the emptiness. You see, so you see, so you don't need to kind of choose a specific object to be investigate it is ultimate nature to realize emptiness. Not like the self, or the aggregates, to investigate, to see the selflessness, you see. So now for the Lojong practitioner, whatever thought arises, even anger arises, attachment arises, you see, right there, that thought itself is object of your analysis of it is absolute nature, so by doing so, train ourselves numberless opportunity in our day-to-day life to get closer to realize emptiness, you see. So this is what it means. It's very, 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 very beneficial, very powerful. You see. Usually we talk about, just, self identity as object to analyze selflessness, and the phenomena, talk about, as a form, form, feeling aggregates, like 5 aggregates to analyze as, it is true nature of emptiness. Then table, cups, and water element, etc. But now here for Lojong practitioner, the every thoughts, become object for you to train your wisdom to realize emptiness. You see, so that way, whenever you do that, then the delusion or the conceptual idea won't disturb you, won't hallucinate you, won't influence you negatively, or make you live in hallucination. Rather, each of such ideas, give us clarity in it is absolute reality of emptiness. So this is very good. As for afflictions, since they grow to a small degree when they first arise, it is vital to vanquish them the moment they are born. You see, so so in general practice, you see, delusions, the way to eradicate them, the easier way to eradicate them is the moment they see the sign, the moment they are newly born, instantly apply the antidote, and that's the most effective and easier way to eradicate. So if in the Lojong way, yes, this is the way, but the way to apply the antidote to overcome the delusion is by taking onto the path, or even when there is a very very light thoughts that arises in our mind, or even is a virtual thought arises in our mind, and no question about delusions. Whenever there's a sign occurring into our mind, immediately you do observation of it is ultimate reality, the emptiness, you see. So taking that arising of delusion from a very initial stage onto the path by analyzing the wisdom of emptiness, it will be so efficient to eradicate delusion, you see. So like that. If not destroyed, they grow numerous and then cannot be overcome. So you see, so we cannot wait, until the delusion grow uh, very strong, very settled way. Then you think that you will apply the antidote, or then you will use that as analysis to its nature. So we shouldn't do like that, because the delusions, it is power to uh, multiply many, in many factors, in many different phases. It grow it is strength, it grow it is numbers, you see. So therefore, um, um, whether we use the common way or whether we use the Lojong way, from the very beginning, the moment we see the sign of delusion, right there, you should engage in the practice of the antidote. When affliction cannot be easily averted by simply applying the antidote at their first appearance, what a pity if you shy away and don't eliminate them, the master says, you see. So, um, so if a practitioner of Dharma, in particular Lojong practitioner, whenever delusion arises from the beginning, if we don't put effort to eliminate them, then it is very shameful, you see. It is very embarrassing to call ourselves as a Dharma practitioner, in particularly to call ourselves as a Lojong practitioner. We let the attachment or anger or depression or whatever negative emotion that arises, let it remain in our system, and that is regarded extremely shameful for us to label as a Dharma practitioner. So this is what it means. So that meaning, we really, uh, the first job of a Dharma practitioner is eradicate the defilement, at the very moment of the occurrence of the design, like that. So from there, then you very much define what level of practitioner you are, uh, as a, until we achieve liberation, we won't overcome, you see, we won't overcome the delusions, isn't it? Even you achieve the path, even you realize emptiness, until you achieve the state of the liberation, and then you are not overcome the delusion, like such as anger, attachment, etc. Yeah, you see. So if you are following from the Hinayana path, path of hearing, path, what's it? Hinayana path, hearer's path, solitary realizer's path, until you achieve liberation of that, solitary realizers and hearers liberation, delusion is not purified. You see, you are already in the path, but not purified. So therefore, it will arise in us. You see, so even in the practitioner who follow Mahayana path, until you achieve eight bhumi, which eight bhumi is very much the level of the Hinayanas, uh, the liberation stage. The cessation that you obtain when you reach eight bhumi, the cessation at the meditative cessation of eight bhumi is similar to the cessation of hero and solitary realizer. So until then, even you are Arya Bodhisattva, anger, attachment is still in our system, you see. But how would label that you are just a beginner, you are ordinary Bodhisattva, or you are on the first bhumi, you are on the second bhumi, you are on the third bhumi. It's not really because of whether you have eradicated the defilement or not. Along in between, among these different categories, level of practice is very much when you when delusion arises in you, how effective you overcome them, how effective you apply antidote. Based on that, then you can categorize yourself. You are advanced practitioner, you are beginner, etc., like that, you see. Uh, so especially for us who are not enter into the path, but then there could be many level of practitioners. Some are really good practitioners, some are lousy practitioner like myself. So how to define how lousy I am and how advanced practitioner you are, even though we both are not into the path yet, we are not bodhisattva yet. So I as a beginner, you as an advanced, can be determined by whenever delusion arises or whenever you are encountering sign of delusion, how effective your application of antidote, how effective that you overcome uh, you overcome the magnifying of that delusion, or how effective that you able to eradicate from the system that time, that particular delusion when it arises, you see. So uh, so for you, anger may arise, but it just kind of gleam, within a moment, the next moment, you know first moment you're completely disturbed by anger, but second moment you're completely calm, fully impatient. You see, for me, anger arises. The moment anger arises, it remains at least for 5 hours. Only after 5 hours, then maybe after a nice coffee or nice chocolate, or nice talking to somebody or whatever, or after receiving you know some advice from guru, or reading text or whatever. Mm, then only I calm, I able to calm my anger, So I am a very beginner, and I very much fail. I'm a not good practitioner. I'm a still practitioner. I'm practicing, but comparing with you, I'm very beginner. You see, you're very advanced. You see, so. But you also, arise anger. I also arise anger. Arising of anger is the same, but our labels are defined how effective we overcome. Yeah, you see. So even among the bodhisattvas there, when there arises delusion, the label of their practice is very much defined by, how effective they overcome the negations, or um, how much already overcome of the negation, the delusions, like that. Okay. Mm. So sometime, in a group of practitioners, some say I'm very senior, I've been practicing for 40 years, or 60 years. But then when it comes to being patient, in the group, you get the anger, you know uh, most easily compared to even those newcomers, who just met Dharma, a few days ago. So if we happen to be in the group, then someone is 40 over years of studying Dharma, you know, the number of ages is your senior, but when it comes to practice, when it comes to the level of your practice, is you're far more, lesser, weaker, zero than the newcomer. If the newcomer is more tolerant, more patient, especially when there's a disturbing situation, you know, uh, uh, how well you handle of your emotion, and how cool you able to remain in in calmness, the peacefulness, virtues. You see, so therefore, sometimes can be very embarrassing. Say, uh, um, I've been, I'm very senior. I know this Lama, I know the Dharma Center, I know Buddhism from 40 over years ago. 50 over years ago. So it's like then I learned from this teacher. I studied this, I got this degree, that degree. But then when it comes to handling of emotion, it's like you are the worst. You get the most easy anger. You're the most grasping. You're the most jealous. You are the most uh, unhappy person. Really depressed, very negative. So much grasping. Then just number of a year. You never practice well. You're still beginner. You see. So like that. So therefore, um, yeah, it's something like that. Sometimes can be in a very embarrassing environment, that sometimes we ourselves will realize, oh, I've been practicing for so long, but then now the emotion arises. I completely overpowered by the emotion of delusion. Then you will realize that how beginner you are. Yeah, you see, so like that. So therefore, truly, we have to be very, very serious about the practice. You see, and it's not by the numbers that define how good practitioner you are. Number of years, number of teaching you receive, number of teacher you have. You know, uh, so that's not the way. It's all about how well you overcome the negative emotion and how well you handle them, like that. Okay, I better do quick. So when a conception arises, examine thus. So as I mentioned before, how to examine the Lojong way. Where does it arise from? Where does it reside? Where does it go when it ceases? So these are the, you see, in general way, when we analyze emptiness, like let's say on the self, then whether the I is, you know, uh, uh, within the aggregates, without the aggregates, uh, uh, or uh, of all whole of the aggregates, or just one of the aggregates, etc. So within, without, etc. So wherever there's a few possibilities, by investigating where is it. So similar way, whenever emotion like anger arises, where does this anger arise from? You see, because when the anger arises, very much like arise like inherently. You see, then where does it reside? So where the anger exists, you see. So if anger exists in me, then where is me? So that will lead to further investigation. Then when you find no self, then how to find when there's no container, then where to contain the substance. Then since there's no container, then how to claim as I got anger, or the anger is in me, residing in me, so, or anger is residing in my mind. So the mind itself, is lacking of substantial existence, you know, uh, which moment of your mind is your anger, you see. Then even the anger itself, which moment of it is previous, present, future, is the anger, and so like that, you see. So where does it go when it cease? See, when anger is cease, where does it go? You see. uh, so in fact it's all a hallucination, misunderstanding, and to the misunderstanding you apprehend as a something that which is very negative. Then that's how that it become harmful, you see. So if the anger is analyzed and able to realize it is true nature, which is lack of substantial existence, then that conscious of anger is is in fact is a non-conceptual. In fact, it is free of concepts. It is free of fabrication. It is free of substantial existence. You see, so it is absolutely the one taste of the Dharmakaya. You see, Dharmakaya is no different from that. You see, so this is how what he mean by taking concepts, delusions onto the path. So this is the way how to analyze. Then and recognize that it is devoid of intrinsic existence. Then you conclude in your observation in the understanding of devoid of intrinsic in existence in that thought or in that idea or in that delusion, like that. And like meeting a past acquaintance, you take onto the path, the master says. So this is very much past acquaintance. Uh, uh, is very much like the emptiness nature of the thoughts or the concept of the delusion. Is not a new thing. It is nature from the very beginning, and you differentiated them because of your confusion, and you lost their relationship. The relationship from the subject and the object of emptiness, and it is based because of confusion. They were always together there, so it's there they were like a acquaintance all the time. So now you are bringing them together again, like a kind of long lost friend. You bring them meeting together. It's so beautiful like that. So that's why in the tantric term is like meeting of the mother and son, like the mabuteba. You see. So in a general term, it's a meeting of the past acquaintance. You see, so like that. Mm. Uh, and like meeting a past acquaintance, you take it onto the path. The master said, or like snowflakes falling into hot rock, dissolve into emptiness. So like that. So now the fourth uh, decision is the remedies are instantly applied to vanquish the opposing force. So meaning for the instant affliction arises, just like hitting the head of the each pig with the stick, you apply whatever is the most effective antidote to the specific affliction, the master says. So the remedy are instantly applied to vanquish the opposing force, meaning that you need to apply right antidote to the right negation. You see, so there's in general understanding, what it means is like for anger, even though there's a general antidote, all the virtues are general antidote to all the defilements, but for anger is patience is a direct antidote. For self-grasping, then the wisdom of emptiness is a direct antidote. For self-cherishing, this the altruistic, the bodhicitta, the selfless, the bodhicitta, altruism is a direct antidote. You see, for anger, is a patient is a direct antidote. So meaning that it's more effective to apply the direct antidote. Should apply like that. You see. So now for the Lojong. Lojong way is that the direct antidote is emptiness, and the altruistic attitude and altruistic wisdom. You see, so uh, it is even in general the emptiness wisdom. Is it can be direct antidote to very much all the defilements. You see, then the altruistic attitude of bodhicitta, to the certain kind of delusions such as self-cherishing attitude, etc., like that. So when you apply the altruistic wisdom, then it also play as a direct antidote to all the it play the direct antidote to all the negations, all the defilements. You see, so in Lojong way, it's the altruistic wisdom. Whenever delusion arises, negativity arises, when you want to purify them, then whenever you actualize the altruistic wisdom, it is very much like hitting the head, just like hitting the head of each pig. You know, uh, uh, every negation will able to overcome most effectively. You see, like that. So this is what it means. Okay, thank you very much. So this is what the master says. So I will stop here. So it's a very, very important teaching. So please read through it again and take a snapshot in your memory of those 8 occasions where there's a danger of forgetting and losing Dharma practice, Lojong practice in particular here. Then those of the, the 4 decisions, when you start to practice Lojong seriously, Dharma seriously, the very Kadamba master's way, then the 4 decisions are the way how you should practice. So it's quite easy to remember, and whatever Dharma learning that you are doing, whatever practices you are doing, whether it's daily yoga or sutra, whatever, and this can be the main guide to rest of the practice to be most effective and meaningful. So, yeah, I feel really, 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 really wonderful and beneficial knowledge. So like that. Okay. So thank you very much. So we dedicate the merit. So whatever merit that we accumulate individually, collectively, then all the merit they accumulated by all the numberless sentient beings and all the merit collected by past, present, future Buddhas and Gurus, may this merit be a complete cause for numberless sentient beings free from all the suffering of samsara and its cause of karma and delusion, and actualize from temporary happiness up to the ultimate happiness and enlightenment. May this collective merit be a complete cause. All the people who pass away, all the sentient beings who pass away from natural disasters, from war, from famine, be free from suffering of death, suffering intermediate state, suffering of rebirth, and actualize peerless happiness of enlightenment. May this collective merit be a complete cause to eradicate, the COVID pandemic and all the other diseases in the world, and all the different kind of problems, inconvenience, suffering that individual people go through, especially within among the students of who listening to Lojong, yourself or your family members or friends or pets or anyone that who are having difficulty in their life. May our collective merit through you be the complete antidote to eradicate all those inconvenience, all those sicknesses, difficulty, and may they have the ability and wisdom and blessing and supports and conditions, environmental conditions for them to bless, with the Dharma, with the wisdom of Dharma, of virtue, and so that they instantly, without delaying, they're able to overcome all the sufferings, then able to enjoy genuine happiness, including all the way up to enlightenment. May this collective merit be a complete cause. Then also all the conflicts, the war, everything to come to end, and all the people live harmoniously, peacefully, virtually. May this collective merit be a complete cause. All the good people in this world, like our gurus, like His Holiness Lama, all your spiritual gurus, and also yourself and your family members, always enjoy good health, long life, and fulfill all your aspirations according to full enlightenment. May this collective merit be a complete cause. All the virtuous institutions, like monasteries, nunneries, then all the Dharma APMD centers, all the Dharma study groups and projects. free from inner outer secret obstacles, and actualize all the conducive conditions for the preservation of Dharma, realizations on the stages of path after enlightenment accordingly. Also dedicate this quality merit for us to, never to forget and lost the Lojong, the practice of bodhicitta, practice of artistic wisdom during this 8 different kind of difficult situations as we learn from the teaching, and may we equip with the 4 decisions to making sure that our practice becomes so effective that, like the past Katama masters, that we too able to actualize full enlightenment within this very lifetime. Then we understand the merit, the purpose, everything in the nature of lack of inherent existence. Chanjo semjore boche maje panam ki juji kewanya mamme bayam kone gondo pe bache tonye taware boche maje panam ki juji kewanya mamme bayam kone gondo pe. Remye taware boche maje panam ki juji kewanya mamme bayam kone gondo pe wara sho pama simje tamje dena de juji ngero tamje tado dowa. Chanjo semba gana suju bade da kunji malam pe juji simje ne bachi ni ba nyedo nere tanjo ju chubene ne male. Dado joma me bar shi jambe bawa je da kema da kondo sambo de ande shi de da kunji ju da. Jawa deda tamje rabdo ngo tsun chebe jawa tamje de ngo gana chudo na ba daji jewe tsawa de sambo cheje rabdo ngo wara je kanrera be kowe singa de pendan de ma le chume chere se wa tezi ja shabe se de ba do tenju che topso chashi jango jawe de jijo be kuso do chozo ko be le me to do da so de je do shabe sho betan so samba cheje de be tashi ni mo de se de ni me Ninzedado delle conjo sumjetashi. Okay, Tujeche, thank you. Please take good care and take good care of each other. Okay, bye-bye.